Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba. Ow! We're going on an adventure. It's gonna be so much fun. We're taking to the sky, just you and I.
Our smiles as bright as the sun.
Hey, heroes, rise up.
Rise up.
We can do it if we try. I believe in you and your feelings true. Hey, let your spirits fly. It's time for a cure of the what now?
Hiya!
It's so bright colors. Wow! We'll answer the call and be standing tall. Fun is our eternal vow. So gear up, get ready. I hope you're feeling fine, 'cause now it's hero time. Cure of the what now?
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's two dorky podcasters. We are going live from the sky in 3, 2, 1, take off! Or land? Or I said we're coming from the sky, so maybe we're like flying in from the last mission.
Hero time!
Hero time!
Hello, fellow unsuspecting roommates, and welcome to episode 2 of season 3 of...
Cure of the what now?
No!
Hiya! Wait, what?
Our cure of the what now isn't to that melody anymore.
Oh, did we do that to a specific melody for a specific reason?
You were doing it to our song, I think.
Oh, well, I don't remember the theme song that we worked on for this week, so...
Fair enough, Scrumply. My name is Kat, and I'm a mysterious, awesome grandma lady who's making potions. I'm a witch.
And I'm your co-host, Joel, and I'm just gonna steal all these burgers. You know, us pig guys, us Saturday morning cartoon villains need our fuel in order to be able to baseball tackle some people.
Absolutely, absolutely. Burgers for thee, but not for me.
I totally forgot. You don't tackle people in baseball. Obviously, I was thinking of full contact basketball.
That would make basketball so much more interesting. Listen, folks, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Sports would be more interesting if the players got knives. They don't get to stab indiscriminately. There are rules, right? You get like one stabby stab per game.
I've had a similar thought about football players and guns. Everyone gets one bullet every game.
Or maybe you just have one player and they're like the knife bearer and you have to choose the most opportune time to send them out onto the field.
We do a sports anime where there's two twin brothers who are the best knifers in the town in the world, but then they both get recruited to opposite teams and they both want to be number one knife man.
Oh no!
And in the background people are just playing football or whatever, but actually it's about these two brothers.
That sounds amazing, and if this were just a Joel and Kat say whatever random stuff comes to mind podcast, we would continue
Come
on
here,
that
Tom,
thread.
I'm gonna stab you. No, John, you mustn't stab me because I'm gonna stab you.
Why are you smiling? I'm not left-handed. We're twins. I knew that. But this is not a Joel and Kat go off on whatever stuff comes to mind podcast. This is a PreCure podcast. So we have a discussion question related to PreCure. But first, my fine partner, my co-host, my spouse, do you have any news or announcements?
I would like to say that I think that the spirit of the Nen Promise has been kept as far as the Minecraft server update. Because I've only done the one video edit so far, and that was for our PreCure ranking video. Editing Joel will link that in the YouTube video. So it will be up by the time this episode is out, but it is not currently up at the time of recording because I was just having some technical difficulties, and I'm going to try to solve them.
Video editing is hard and confusing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not something that I have had practice with. We've done plenty of podcast episodes that are audio only that I've figured out how to work with. Also, we've made this point before, we try not to get political on the show, we try to focus only on anime girls, but I'm just going to say, in regards to whatever might be happening in the world right now, trans lives matter and support your trans communities and charities.
Absolutely. If talking about our personal views makes me anxious, even though I believe them, so we're going to move on.
Absolutely.
If you disagree, we don't care, so you could just quietly stop listening, it'll be fine.
Or I will send Tom and John, the Knife Brothers, to challenge you to a knife battling championship.
And they're the champions. Like, you're going to want to watch
They've
yourself.
got that anime pro tag energy. How are you going to defeat them? You just can't. You had a discussion question that's going to be equally as divisive, but not quite as heated.
Yes,
I think.
absolutely. For the very first time, Cure of the What Now is dipping its toe into discourse. the very first episode of Hiragaro Sky PreCure, we were introduced to Kabaton, and I said, wow, look at that man. I know at least 2 people on the internet who are going to go, that's my boyfriend, that is my husband, that is wife material. And I did tweet him at them, and they were very excited to go look him up. Another person who is slightly more prominent in the fandom said, wow, he's so sexy. And many people responded with, he is literally a pig. That is very gross of you, sir. And then he and his friends who agreed that Kabaton is sexy went, you're being homophobic. So, Joel, is Kabaton sexy? It's a yes or no question. You don't get to say anything else at first.
Okay. No.
I'm going to say no also. And my reasoning, probably similar to yours, the farts.
Yeah. Okay, honestly, we do this podcast, we joke around a lot, we have some ha-has, we have some guffaws, we even have some chortle occasionally, special guest chortles. But the thing about it is that there's a couple of different layers. Humans don't normally have, like, purple skin. Like, if you saw a person who had purple skin, you probably wouldn't necessarily be attracted to them. But, you know, it's anime and everything's colorful and stuff like that. He is a pig man, and not only that, but he would fit into, like, the anthro/furry category, which for some people is a good thing, some people is not a good thing. But honestly, for me, I was willing to be like, yeah, I could see how he'd be sexy in that first episode when he was, like, doing, like, football tackles and stuff. He's not my type, but I could see it. But then you get to the farts, and that just completely, like, I cannot understate or overstate how much I don't like that. But I think saying that he is sexy is not necessarily gross. There's plenty of furry and anthro art out there that I personally enjoy. I don't want to tell myself too much, but, like, yeah, I like it. But pig species specifically, and him being a farty boy, are just like, nope, he's out.
Yep. No, I just, there are some species, anthro-wise, that just don't click, you know?
Yeah.
And if they click for you, that's fine. You go do your thing. Your kink is not my kink, and your kink is okay. But I will say, I find looting the adult pigman much less weird than the people who lewd the cures. That's unacceptable to me.
Yeah. Absolutely. There was some passionate discussion about, well, I mean, I assume there's passionate discussion about it all the time. You and I are kind of on the fringe of PreCure Society. We follow some of the prominent Twitter feeds, but a lot of times we don't know that there's drama, and we have to be like, AU, can you tell us what's going on? And AU goes, well, I think this might be it, but I'm also not necessarily, like, in the Twitter discourse, and so it's like, I don't know, maybe this is what people are talking about. But AU did point out that not safe for work artists have been drawing PreCure for forever, basically, and that's weird because they are underage and all this other stuff, and the show's, like, explicitly, like, not about any of that stuff, and so it makes us quite uncomfortable. But now it's getting even weirder now that we have a male cure, and now that we have an adult cure, and so I don't want to touch that with the 10-foot pole. Just lewd something else,
There's
like,
so much
find a different
lewd.
Lewd Supernatural. They're all of age.
I was in the My Little Pony fandom, and as you might expect, there was art of that, and at least they had the excuse that these characters are adults, right? But,
holy shit, the My Little Pony characters are adults?
Yeah, they all live on their own and run their own businesses.
I don't... Do they even have parents, though? I just kind of assumed that they kind of, like, gooped out of the space-time continuum.
Anyway, but the My Little Pony community used to do something they called Safe Search Wrap-Up. So every Saturday they'd go and they'd search just, like, random characters, and if there was anything on Safe Search that was lewd, they would report it, so that it was safe for the target audience of the show to look up their favorite characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I thought that was very cool, Like, if you are a not safe for work artist in a space that isn't for you, I think you need to be really careful to make sure your work goes to the correct audience.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that a place for everything and everything in its place really fits, especially with online fandoms and stuff, because there are a lot of people who are into a lot of interesting things that might appeal to some people, but they also you don't want that to be the default thing that someone finds if they just, came home from their third grade class, and then they're like, oh yeah, My Little Pony's so cool, I want to look up that song that Lyra Heartstrings, I think, is one of the characters' names. That she sang. And
I'm amazed that you remembered both parts of her name.
I was guessing on that second part. I'm like, I think it's Heartstrings. But anyways, just like keep them separate kind of a thing.
Absolutely. Going back to Kabaton, I did start cracking up while I was out to dinner with my parents because AU had sent us the tweet that kind of sparked off this discourse. And my parents are like, what are you laughing at? And I went, okay, here's the deal. This is the show we watch. This is the target demographic. This is what people are arguing about. Now tell me if this man is sexy. And I showed it to them and my mom goes, no, not sexy.
Very seriously.
My dad was like, agreed, not sexy. So he is a flavor of salami that only some would like to taste.
Okay, sure. Yeah, absolutely. So also at the beginning of the question when you asked me, when you said it's either yes or no, is Kabaton sexy? The reason I hesitated is, again, just to go back to the answer is he sexy to me is no. Does he have the potential to be sexy and is that okay? The answer is yes. So that's why I hesitated, is like, which of these two answers is my answer?
Like I said, as soon as I saw him, I was like, that is the wife of at least two of my friends.
But they also are kind of known for being into scrunkly people.
That's what I was going to get at. So One Piece is full of just like the ugliest motherfuckers you can imagine. I'm not saying that derogatorily. I love these people.
Foxy
My
is so
favorite
great.
has a forehead all the way up to the moon. Like that's just how it is. But these two have a reputation in the fandom for liking the big round boys.
Yeah, absolutely.
We may now move on if you are prepared.
Yeah, I think that would be nice.
Oh, I just want to shout this out there. I'm uncomfortable with looting the PreCure. We make jokes about holding hands and kissing. I know kissing is more adult in Japan. Here it's innocent. Anything beyond that, I am not okay with. So I don't want to hear about or see any lewd PreCure art.
I'm sorry. This is a weird tangent, but it's something that, like, I haven't seen discussed, and again, maybe I'm just not part of the right circles. But, like, what if there's a show where the characters are, 15 or 16 or whatever, and then what if the fan fiction or the work of art depicts them as adults, right?
That's less weird to me.
Okay. The thing about it is that if there's a show that is primarily, if like all of the characters are of a certain age, like it takes place in a high school or in middle school or whatever, I think that it's a little weird that people would adult them up and then, I don't know, it's kind of like this weird gray area because it's almost like you're kind of still sexualizing the characters as they exist.
Well, and like, okay, we're gonna just dive deep into the discourse.
Freud's gonna have something to say about all of this.
We went to a writing panel at Comic-Con a couple of years ago, and one of the writers was a woman in like her late 30s, early 40s, but she writes YA, so all of her characters are teenagers, and she's writing for teenagers, and some of these teenagers have sex with each other, and she was talking about how she gets a lot of flack from people for the things that she writes about and how they should have to be 18 and be married before you portray any of that. She was like, that's not realistic though.
Yeah.
Like I'm writing about and to real teenagers and some real teenagers start doing that at 15, 16, 17 years old. So it really comes down to the like art versus porn debate, I think.
Sure. Yeah.
But for me, I'm uncomfortable enough with it that, like, I just don't go there. Like, none of these characters strike that chord for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, there are plenty of other characters from other media. Have you seen Mercy from Overwatch? My goodness, she's got a shapely butt.
They dressed her as a witch in one season. I'm concerned about everything we've said in the podcast so far, and I kind of want to just start over and just talk about PreCure.
The thumbnail of this video is just going to be Mercy and oh gosh, what's her name? Tracer, their butts just on the thumbnail, big red circle around both of them, arrow pointing. And then we photoshopped me looking all shocked in the corner. Anyways.
This episode is never going to air. I can't.
It's the secret lost footage.
I can't in good conscience allow this to go into the world.
Catherine, do you remember which episodes we watched this week? It's a very difficult question because we're watching one episode a week for each of these shows.
Yes, we watched episode 2 of Soaring Sky PreCure, of Splash Star PreCure Splash Star, I can't remember.
Who cares?
And I Care.
Okay.
Happiness Charge PreCure.
Absolutely. You know, okay, I keep finding things to distract myself with. There's a meme going on around right now because this is the 20th anniversary, Soaring Sky is. And so I think maybe the PreCord people came up with it first, but I don't know. But someone came up with the idea of, oh, why don't you list your favorite characters from each of the series? Now, you and I kind of started this podcast, and it kind of got me interested in, like, trying to catch up and having seen every series and every movie and stuff like that, just so I could have correct opinions. I can't say, Akari is the best Red Cure because I haven't seen all the Red Cures, but once I catch up, I'll have better opinions or I'll have more knowledge. But doing this Who's Your Favorite Character, I realized we're still only like halfway. We got like 9 more seasons that we have to watch, and so part of me kind of is tempted to like pick a season that we just don't cover on the podcast, and I just watch like 8 episodes a week or something like that, just so that we're that much closer to getting to the end.
Yeah, maybe we should do another one of those mega episodes where we meet every 9 episodes to discuss whatever.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But anyways, that I just realized, like, wow, we still have a lot of PreCure media to consume.
We do. Maybe next week for the recording, we watch 10 episodes of Happiness Charge.
What?
I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay, are you joking with me right now? You have to say, you have to tell me whether or not you're joking.
Listen, I'm sort of joking.
Okay.
In that, I don't actually want to have to force myself to sit down and watch 10. But if we were watching and I was like, could we do another one though? And another one maybe? And we just happened to watch 10. Like, I wouldn't object.
So, again, what's with all the weird tangents in this episode? If you had to pick one of these series and pretend that, like, somehow you had access to more Soaring Sky episodes than one a week, which one do you think you were most likely to sit down and watch, like, 5 episodes in a row?
Happiness Charge.
Okay. I think right now, Soaring Sky has it for me, but as we get further, because we're still in, like, the intro, like, meeting the characters, once we get to the part where they kind of find their cadence, my answer could change.
Well, and I know you said, like, pretend you have more access to Soaring Sky, but, like, I want to experience Soaring Sky with everybody else.
Okay, yeah. That's super cool. Anyways, Succinct Summaries. That's the thing that I do here at Cure of the What Now. Hiya. So, I will do it chronologically, because that makes my brain goose happy. In Futari wa PreCure Splash Star, it's a Welcome to Night Vale episode. Not Welcome to Night Vale, it's Welcome to whatever town they're in episode where Saki, also tip for listeners at home, if you can't tell Saki and Mai apart, and I don't know why you can't, but I can't, but Saki starts with the SA katakana, which is also what Nagisa's name ended in, so I can remember that Nagisa, Saki are the orange-haired ones.
You know what else you could remember?
What's that?
Saki plays softball.
Oh, I like mine a little bit better, but that's awesome. Okay, Saki wants to throw a welcome party for Mai. Mai is worried that Saki is just being nice, and that it kind of feels a little bit like I like her, and I'm worried that she's only like
humoring?
Yes! Yes, thank you! She's like, I think that she's only humoring me. But then at the end of the episode, when the bad guy shows up, they both have a moment of like a, Urasanai, Zetaini, where, for Saki, it's how dare you ruin Mai's party. And then there's a part where Saki's getting beat up, or she's, like, being punched by the bad guy, and Mai's like, how dare you attack my girlfriend? And that's basically it. Like, it's kind of a nothing burger of an episode. It's cute, but there wasn't a lot,
Absolutely.
There was a guy who appears to be the love interest of Saki, who is voiced by Naruto Uzumaki, which that makes me smile so big. Anyways, moving on to Happiness Charge. Last episode ended with Cure Blossom, but not Blossom. She's the new Blossom.
Lovely.
Cure Lovely transformed, and she's gonna fight the Psyarch, the Terribad, and this episode continues there, and they're unable to beat the monster. She does a couple of cool punches, and the other one helps. Princess, wanted to call her Bubble, but that's not I don't think we have a Cure Bubble. Cure Princess and Cure Lovely try to fight the monster. It doesn't work. They basically run away, and they have a little bit of a conflict where Megumi is trying to say, like, we have a duty to fight that monster and save the girl, and Hime is like, we're too freaking weak. We're underleveled. And she's never heard of, like, grinding against the weaker Pokemon in the grass or whatever, and so she's like, we can't do anything. they are able to work together. Do you remember what's the actual incident that causes Hime to actually like decide to fight?
I think isn't Lovely getting beaten up?
Oh, that might be it. Yeah. But anyways, so they are able to come together by the end of the episode, and they're able to defeat the bad guy, and Hime/Cure Princess has realized, like, oh, maybe we can do it if we work together. And
so they get outfit cards.
They get outfit cards! It's so good! And that just leaves Soaring Sky. So apparently, this is one of those seasons where, like, people notice the monsters fighting, and they're like, what's going on over there? And Mashiro and Sora have to run from the police. Sirens are sounding in the background.
I love that Mashiro is officially our run from the cops girl.
You wouldn't expect it from her meek demeanor. They go back to Mashiro's grandma's house, which is fairly sizable, and Sora thinks, like, oh, is she royalty or whatever? That might be a hint for later. And they meet Mashiro's grandma, and Mashiro's grandma just takes this, like, you came from another world, you have this magic baby, you fought a monster. She takes that all in stride. She's like, cool, we have a spare room, I have baby formula for no reason, because there's not a baby in the house currently, but it's almost like I was expecting this magic baby to show up. Why don't you stay here and to save the day, and that sort of a thing. And then Mashiro and Sora kind of have their, like, getting to know each other moment. Sora is extremely unused to our world. A cell phone freaks her out. They have a robot in the mall, and that freaks her out. But she's kind of slowly getting used to things, and Mashiro helps pick out some civilian clothes for her that look really cute on her. Buys her a new hero notebook because Kabaton destroyed the one from last episode. A beautiful friendship is formed, and then Kabaton shows up again, and this time Sora beats it up again. And that's been your Succinct Summaries!
Succinct Summary! Let's talk about Splash Star. Did you like this episode?
Sure. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was fine. I think that having episodes where the characters meet each other and, like, grow and learn about each other is very important. But we had 3 series that all did it, and I would say that Splash Star was the least interesting for me, personally.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I really like the chemistry between the leads in this season. I already find their friendship more believable than in the previous 2 seasons.
Yes, and further evidence that either Mai and or Saki is a virtual reality recreation of a real person. Mai is worried that Saki, like, doesn't, like, remember the promise, even though Saki does. It's more like I hope that she likes me as much as I like her. That's how it feels to me. That's my reading of it. And so, maybe, because Saki is a replicant human, she's been replaced in the virtual reality world, maybe that's why she doesn't feel quite so... She doesn't come across as caring that deeply.
Yeah, could be. But I think this season has a lot of promise overall. I'm really excited to see where it goes as we get to know the characters more. And I love Karehaan's sass.
Yes.
So she's drawing. I say she, sorry. Mai is drawing, and she's really absorbed in her drawing. And she looks up, and the party has all been set up around her. And she goes, oh, I must have been really absorbed. And Saki's like, yeah, I was sitting here watching you for a while. You didn't even respond when I talked to you. And she's like, what? And then Karehaan is now sitting on the bench she was drawing, and he goes, sup? Can I see the drawing?
See, here's the problem with doing a weekly review podcast. For anyone out there who's like, should I do a weekly review podcast? Here's a pitfall you have to look out for. If you wait till right before you record to watch everything, you sometimes feel rushed, or you sometimes feel like there's not going to be enough time, or what if something happens, like, you know, if you're going to record on a Saturday and you want to watch the episodes on Friday night, what if something happens Friday night, you get a call that your mom is in the hospital or something, right? You've now lost the time to watch the episode. But if you watch it too early, if you watch it on Monday, then you get to recording and you're like, oh, that actually happened. I forgot that Mai was shown to be a very, not only is she a talented artist, but she gets really absorbed into it to the point where
she's a Shalon.
She doesn't notice that things are happening around her. Absolutely. Shout out to Stormlight Archives. I forgot the name of the series. This is one of my favorite series. I forgot the name of it. My brain's just dumb. I'm sorry.
It's Stormlight Archive. If you say archives, that one person from Tumblr will come to your house and knife you.
Oh.
Somebody on Tumblr was sassy to me about it, and I got a little upset.
Good thing I've got Tom and John, my personal knifers, as my right and left flanks. But anyways, I forgot about that, and then I forgot about the weird guy whose head appears to be like an artichoke bulb or something. So I guess all of the bad guys are going to be plants, which I didn't expect. I figured one of them would be plant-based, one of them would be like, I don't know, a bird or something. But Karehaan goes back to some evil lair to report that he was unable to find the location of the Fountain of the Sun. Pretty cool name. I'll give them points for that. And there's this other, like, evil, like, clearly trying to become, like, the next big bad there, who's just like, oh, you got your ass kicked by some girls. So in, like, 3 or 4 more episodes when Karehaan fails for the last time, this is going to be the guy whose mouth suddenly opens wide and just eats Karehaan.
I was going to say, I'm afraid he might actually just eat him.
Yeah.
Just eat him whole. I didn't like Artichoke Head Man. Didn't like him at all.
But he's going to stick in your mind. We're talking about it, aren't we? Kind of a thing.
That's true. Something about his vibe made me extremely uncomfortable. Like you said, he definitely seems to be scheming to devour Karehaan and take his power. He's probably going to eat the big bad at some point, so he can be the actual big bad, like Belle.
Yeah, it seems most PreCure seasons has, like, that one guy who's, like, in the corner, like, laughing to himself, and everyone else is like, oh, they're just a weirdo. There's no way that they could be plotting the destruction of all mankind and take on a super form partway through the season, and then it always happens.
And one thing that these villains do that was interesting to me is they say that they've been defeated every time they've come here by the Densetsu no PreCure.
Oh.
So this isn't the first time. And my thought while we were watching the episode was, if this has happened before, why do you think you can beat them this time?
They read a self-help book, you know.
Oh yeah, they read The Purpose-Driven Life. And
yeah. No. They're trying to secret their way into victory.
My gosh, secret. They've manifested it.
One thing, too, that I left out of the Succinct Summary that, again, just completely slipped my mind because we watched the episode a couple of days ago.
Also, your mind is full of Vaseline. So it's slippery, so thanks.
Absolutely. But we find out that there's, like, 7 fountains, and that if they're all claimed by the bad guys, then life as we know it will cease, basically, and that 6 of them have been captured, and the 7th one is the Fountain of the Sun that has been mentioned. But I thought the Fountain of the Sun was going to be a single MacGuffin, and it was like the end-all be-all, but it's actually just one piece of a larger whole, and if we're following the this is Futari Wa ++, like slightly tweaked, then that means that there's going to be 6 generals, each one guards a different fountain, and we're probably going to fight them in order of increasing difficulty. So Karehaan's like the basic no abilities guy, and again, if we're following directly from Futari Wa, the next one will be like a really beefy, like, Brussels sprout or something, like, with just giant arms. And then after that, they can fight the little one, who's like, kid-like, and then after that, they can fight the lady with very curvaceous figure.
Amazing.
And then we fight Artichoke Man as the final boss.
If the curvaceous lady shows up, she's lootable. Adult.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also a plant. Is there a version of furries but for plants?
There probably is, but I don't think it's as popular.
Leafies?
Catherine?
Yes?
Let's focus on Splash Star. We already had our lewd corner, which apparently I hope will never be a recurring bit on this podcast.
Absolutely, absolutely. My grandpa listens to this podcast. Going back to Splash Star, is there anything else you wanted to talk about before we move on? We've hit most of them. The one thing that I will say is I wonder if we're going to get Mai as an artist is like her thing. Like most PreCure have like the one thing that they do, and so we had Nagisa with lacrosse, and we had Honoka with science, and now we have Saki with softball, and then Mai might be drawing, I don't know. And don't forget Shiny Luminous, whose thing was existing. Her thing was that she really liked Lala and Poloon. For reasons unknown. She baby. They're all baby. Babies all the way down. Absolutely. Let's move on to Happiness Charge PreCure. Happiness Charge? Happiness Charge-y. Happiness Charge-y PreCure! One thing that I did not mention in the Succinct Summary that is very important is that apparently their transformation device also allows them to put on different outfits, which is cool. I love it. I think we even talked about it in last season when we were doing Pitch a Different Season. I was like, what about a season where they're all cosplayers? Megumi becomes a detective! Yes, but so here's the thing I want to focus on. Not only does she get her own outfit, which is super cool,
but it gives her superpowers. It gives her the ability to hold her magnifying glass that, like, draws her to things that, like, she needs to know in order to complete the... Like, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Awesome. Pretty cool. PreCure. Yeah, no, I love this season. It's so good. I'm furious that anybody online hates this season. How?
Yeah.
Megumi's right there. How could you hate this season? I love, Ribbon is her name. I wanted to call her Necklace.
It's
but the
Ribbon
fairy...
and Glasses are the two fairies, yeah.
Yeah, Glass is a stupid name for a fairy, by the way.
You said that last time, too, I know.
Ribbon is fine. I'm going to say it every time, probably. But Ribbon tells Megumi, Cure Princess is really strong. She's just selfish.
Yeah, she's selfish and she gives up easily, but when she puts her mind to it, she can be very strong. Mm-hmm. So, and it's so funny because maybe the children who are watching the show, like the intended audience, wouldn't quite see it this way. But I was watching it, and in the first episode, I guess the guy who comes out of the mirror is just named Blue, which, Blue's Clues, it's just a double connection. But anyways... he gives her this stone as like, this will help you become a stronger PreCure. And she throws the stone, and she meets Megumi, and then at the end of the episode, Megumi transforms. This episode, she's really upset, Hime is, that she didn't, like, immediately become stronger, that, like, Megumi transforming didn't make Cure Princess's punches stronger. And that's just kind of funny to me, because, like, that wasn't the impression that I got. The impression that I got is that you fight as a team and you two will complement each other. So you can't just like expect like, oh, my punch will do more damage. No, you gotta like put in the work. Listen to Megumi's advice, take some protein powder, beat up the Syarks, something like that.
Sayaku?
Sure.
Yeah, no, I love it. They also have a really good dynamic.
They do, yeah. And I think I mentioned this last episode of the podcast, but like, some PreCure show up and they're like, my thing is that I'm really shy and I want to be less shy. Minori, for example, from Tropical Rouge, she wanted to become a better writer kind of a thing. And you see them working towards their goals, but I really like it when it's so clearly obvious they have a long ways to go. In my mind, Hime and Blossom. See, I didn't mention her earlier out of hand for no reason. I was thinking of her. But I think that those two, Sabomi, that's her civilian name. I think they are the PreCure who have the most room to grow, and I'm rooting for them immediately, both of them in their series. I'm just like, yeah, this is an awkward girl who wants to be more confident in herself, and this is a cowardly girl who wants to be able to save the day.
An Usopp type. I would love if she became like some kind of sniper on the team.
Absolutely.
I don't think she's going to because she's got the big punch, but... Do you think we're going to get a Cure Lovely, Cure Fortune conflict in the next episode?
I mean, maybe. Here's the thing is that because I have a meta knowledge of the other PreCure seasons, I'm going to assume that it's going to be a while before they talk with Fortune. They didn't resolve Moonlight, or, the other one. They didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, it takes a while to get the purple one to come to your side. Usually you have to get the yellow one first, and so I think that's what's going to happen next.
Absolutely. I guess what I was more imagining was they would be fighting a Sayaku, and Purple would show up, and she'd be like, who the heck are you? And Cure Lovely would be like, I'm Cure Lovely. I'm fighting alongside Cure Princess. And she'd go, Cure Princess is a loser. And she'd defeat the Sayaku and just leave. And Lovely would be like, that wasn't very nice. We're going to befriend that girl. And Princess would be like, we can't befriend her. Did she hear what she said?
She sits at the cool kids table. She's so beautiful. We're just the nerds.
She smokes during gym class. And so there will be that tension where Lovely wants to try to befriend Cure Fortune, and Princess is like, no, it's never going to happen. And then, like, in episode 20, that'll be resolved, right?
Okay, yeah, maybe Fortune will make an appearance next episode. I'm very curious if they're going to have to get another stone from Mirror God. And by the way, apparently Blue is like a god in the subtitles is how they described him, which is very interesting. But
he can see everything.
He can see everything through mirrors. But I wonder, like, is he going to have to give them another stone, and they're going to throw it, and they're going to hit potentially that yellow girl who's always selling sweets to Megumi in the head? She'll be like, ow, guess I'm a superhero now. Or will she find some other way to transform that doesn't involve a stone from the mirror guy? You know? I don't know.
Cure Princess will get so freaked out she just vomits and a transformation stone hits the yellow girl in the face.
She just the episode opens with Megumi and Hime just eating at like a cafe or a restaurant or something, and Hime goes, "Oh, this food doesn't taste very good. Do you think it went bad?" And Megumi's like, "I don't know. Just stop eating it." And for the rest of the episode, Hime is walking around holding her tummy. She has a tummy ache, and at the very end of the episode, just and the stone comes out, and the other girl transforms. I would love that. I would love that so much.
That would fit in with the sense of humor of this season, I think.
Absolutely.
Shout out to my boy with the little antenna doohickeys.
Yes.
I can't remember.
Namakelder.
That's right, because it's like he's the elder, but he's actually not in charge.
Yes.
I love him. He sucks.
He does. Last season of the podcast, we talked about Doki Doki and how each of the generals were different deadly sins, and some of them embodied a little bit more than others. But Namakelder is the representation of laziness, and I don't know if they're going for like the sin specifically, but he's told by the big bad, like, hey, you need to defeat the PreCure. And he goes, yeah. And then as soon as he hangs up on the Skype call, he's like, I'll do it later. And he basically just starts like lounging where he was, and he doesn't actually like start spreading it until the PreCure show up, and then he suddenly gets motivated. He's a piece of crap, but he's like the sort of like piece of crap where like you don't really see him as a threat, and you're not really worried.
There was a passionate debate mid-episode as to whether he counts as a blonde piece of shit male character or not, because I'm collecting those, apparently. You know, I've got Doffy as the big blonde.
Absolutely. And I think the answer is yes. From a distance, it looks like they draw him more with like a green in his hair, but close up, it's closer to like a blonde green, and so I'll accept
Right.
it.
Yeah, you can be like a reddish blonde.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
A strawberry blonde or whatever. So he is a green blonde. I don't know what you'd call that. A lime blonde?
Avocado blonde.
Avocado blonde. He's an avocado blonde.
Now, really quick, while we were talking about Namakelder, he is talked to from the big bad, who appears to be a mirror, but whose face is not shown, but whose color seems to be a little bit different. So obviously, there's a blue, there's a red, there's a green, and there's a yellow. And red is the one who turned to the bad guy's side.
Oh, could be. I just was thinking maybe red was blue, but keeping an eye on the queen bee.
And, like, encouraging the bad guys to go, like, cause havoc or something?
Well, he's got... So she's in charge. The
Okay.
mirror guy just does what she asks. And so, like, maybe he's trying to prevent worse destruction.
A Bakugan situation kind of a thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Bakugan! I forgot about Bakugan.
He's so good. The one last thing that I want to point out, this thought occurred to me between last episode and this episode. Hime's hair in her civilian form, it hits different. It looks edible to me.
It looks edible to you.
It looks like you could take a spoon and kind of dip it in Hime's hair and you get like jelly and you'd be able to like eat it. I have seen.
Wait.
Oh.
This is the season with the most edible hair, I think. Like, it's very bulbous and shiny.
Yes, right. But it's only her hair. So a couple of little asterisks next to Hime's hair looks edible. Megumi's hair does not look edible in either form. Maybe a little bit more than, like, I don't know, Sabomi's hair or something, because it is a little bit more, like, kind of brightly colored and shiny. But also, I've seen Hime's look in the manga, and it also doesn't look edible. So it's anime-only blue jelly hair Hime. That's my platform for 2024.
Okay. So, just really quick. You look at that. You're telling me that's not as edible.
She is showing me a picture of Kier Lovely as she's in her transformation stage. And I mean, like, it doesn't look as edible. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it's more edible than I was thinking when I was trying to recall it in my head.
This is a bulbous season, and I'm here for it. I need more PreCure pushing the bounds of, like, different drawing styles, like they did in Heartcatch.
Absolutely, yes. But anything else from this episode that you want to discuss?
I don't think so. I'm really excited to see where this season goes.
Okay. You already kind of asked me, and I already talked about where I think the next episode might go, but what do you think is in store for these girls?
I think that lovely Megumi, I should use their civilian names if I'm talking about them as civilians, but I think Megumi is going to be like, Hime, you got to come to school with me. Hime is going to be like, why? And she's going to go, well, because you're the right age to go to school and we should hang out more. And then Blue's going to pop out of the mirror and go, as your god, I think that is an excellent idea.
Teach that girl some maths.
And Hime will be very concerned because maths are scary. But she will get through it, and she will probably befriend the yellow-haired girl, who I keep wanting to call by a name I saw online, but I don't think that's this season.
Oh, very interesting, very interesting. They did kind of briefly meet last episode in the park when Hime was kind of down on herself, and Yellow Girl was just like, have a honey candy, because apparently that's her thing. I'm curious, though, if they might form a stronger friendship like you're suggesting.
Absolutely, especially since she and Megumi seem to walk to school together in the morning and sing songs about the PreCure. Can Megumi tell people she's a PreCure? Could she run up to yellow-haired girl and be like, guess what? I'm a PreCure now.
Maybe that's what the next episode will be about. She'll try to tell Yellow, and then he maybe will like tackle her out of the way and be like, don't you speak a word of this!
Ribbon will just choke her out. That's what the ribbon is for.
It's also Garant ribbon. Okay, now we can move on to Soaring Sky!
Sky High.
Did you like this episode?
Yes! It didn't hit me as hard as the first episode. The first episode, I was like, I could rewatch this immediately. This one, I was just like, this was a good, solid second episode. We get to know what the characters are like a little more. We get to know Mashiro as a flees from the cops gal.
She's really striking me as a soft-spoken and kind of like conflict-averse type of person in most of the time, and I'm really curious. She bears a remarkable resemblance to the next Kiri we see in the opening, but I'm curious as to like how her transformation is going to go. Like, is Sora going to be fighting a Ramborg that's so powerful that she can't win, and Mashiro is going to be like, I have no choice but to help? You and I both notice, like, same brainworms, I guess, but, like, something about the way that the white cure looks in the closing. Both of us kind of had a light bulb moment where we went, oh, she looks like a nurse. Something about the pink hair and then the white, which maybe she just looks like Nurse Joy from Pokemon, but I wonder if she's going to be more of a support/healer type, and Sora's going to be the big hero punching people type.
I could see that. We got Sora's backstory, which was just, a hero saved me because I wandered into a forbidden forest and thought nothing bad would happen. Surely this forbidden sign isn't here for a good reason.
This can't stop me. I can't read.
Exactly. But she's saved by a hero, and that made her want to be a hero. And then at the end of the episode, when she had saved Mashiro goes, I just saw my very own hero.
Yes.
Which is so cute. We gotta talk about Sora pledging to be Mashiro's knight.
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, it's exactly what you just described. After Sora has been offered a place to stay at Mashiro's grandma's house, she's like, is it really okay? And Mashiro's like, yeah, we want to support you however you can. And Sora just goes down on one knee, which is not something that could represent anything else. And, you know, she says, like, hey, allow me to be your knight. And Mashiro's like, no, that's kind of weird.
How about friends?
Yeah, let's start with friends and see if we have chemistry. Then we can move on to kissing and hand-holding.
The role play.
Oh, that one got me good. In case you couldn't tell.
It's a weird episode. Weird energy in podcasting studio today.
A lot of people are kind of already shipping Blue and Mashiro, Sora and Mashiro. And I got that vibe from this episode. They had a Princess Carrie moment when Sora picked up Mashiro to get her out of the way of the villain. And you've got this kind of like odd couple dynamic where one is brave and the other one is a little bit more timid. But one of them is kind of out of her depth, and the other one's like, this is my world, bitch, my rules.
If this were a non-PreCure season, their magical girl names would be like Brave Blue and Passionate Pink.
Oh, I really like that. But, you know, there is something else that is super important that I need to talk about. What's the deal with Yo-Yo? Yo-Yo is the name of Mashiro's grandma. We were not told it in the episode explicitly, but I guess there's a monthly PreCure manga that has already confirmed what her name was. And I'm sure that there's also been, like, episode titles or short episode descriptions that have been released that have said something about her.
And in the Discord, AU was like, that's not a Japanese name, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So clearly, Yo-Yo is a bird. Given human
Clearly?
sentience.
What do you mean, clearly?
Well, I mean, what else could she be?
She's obviously an omniscient, fourth wall breaking god, is what she is.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
she has, like, the access to the script. She knows what's going to happen, but she's taken a pledge not to interfere, like the Watcher from the Marvel Universe. Watchers, I guess. And so she seems to know what's going to happen. She seems to be calm with everything. She has this magic mirror that lets her see other places. Again, with us accidentally syncing up stories with Happiness Charge also having omniscient mirrors. But I think that she, like, knows the story, and or there's like a legend, and she's like a order of knights who are supposed to protect, someday a hero will fall from the sky carrying a baby. That baby's name is Jevis Crimst.
I love that. No, I mean, so AU being like, that's not a Japanese name, makes me think maybe she comes from somewhere else, but my original thought was she was the Mashiro of her generation. Like a hero came into her life and they did the PreCure thing, and now the cycle is repeating itself.
Absolutely. Jokes aside, because they're not going to make her like some weird fourth wall breaking goddess, but jokes aside, I think that she has a connection to Skyland. I don't know if maybe she's the grandma of the king and queen, but she got exiled for some reason. I don't know.
Probably for being a witch.
Possibly.
I keep making that joke because she's doing a potion with a dried frog.
She's not... Okay, technically she hasn't told us what it's for, but she wants Mashiro to pick up some ingredients, and it's like a stick of cinnamon... something else, like maybe rosemary or something. And then the last one is a dried frog. And those first two could be used for all sorts of things. Or that last one, witchcraft, is the only possible explanation.
Yeah.
So
no, she a witch.
She's probably a witch. But, maybe she was the queen of the land and she left. That would make the, what are you, some kind of a princess? Would be some kind of like foreshadowing.
Oh, it's
there.
an X mark.
Absolutely. And then the other thing too is... So, we don't actually know the baby's name, but the only thing that she seems to say is L. And so, that's kind of the name that Sora and Mashiro have given this baby. They leave the baby with Grandma while they go to the town to buy clothes for Sora and the potion ingredients. And while they're fighting the Ramborg, Sora is fighting the Ramborg, it's not they yet, the Grandma is holding L, watching them, and says something like... Oh, that's right, your name is L now. And I think there's two readings for that. The surface level reading is just, they chose her name is L, now, because she didn't have that name 2 days ago or whatever. But there's also the possibility that it's some kind of reincarnation and or time travel. I am not joking. I think that this baby, is reborn every 100 years or something. And so, the grandma is saying, oh, your name is L this time, but last time your name was M, or whatever, something else.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think you're totally right. There's got to be some sort of cycle or reincarnation mess stuff going on. The grandma says that nobody meets by accident. This was fated to happen. And if it's fate, that speaks to cycles to me.
Absolutely. Also, 15th season had time travel. I don't think that's a spoiler. I think you figured that out in episode 1 and or episode 2. As soon as they start developing plot. But what if episode 20 or season 20 also is time travel, but in secret? They didn't tell anyone. You just get to episode 13, and all of a sudden, Kabaton shows up, and he has a cyborg arm, and you're like, what the shit? And he's like, I am Kabaton from the year 3033, give us the key to the future, and starts firing lasers. That'd be cool.
Oh my gosh, that would be so awesome. Maybe that's how we'll get the Hug Girls in there.
Yeah, maybe.
Time travel shenanigans. The baby from that season will scream and send them to the future or the past or something. Oh my gosh, and their baby and Elle could be best friends.
Yeah, I never put this together, but Hug had a baby who could send things through time, and Star Twinkle had a baby that could send people through space. It's the space and time. It's Dialga and Palkia, which makes Elle the Arceus. It all makes sense.
It all makes sense.
I have quite a few really quick notes that don't really fit into the episode discussion. So, one thing that I noticed, I don't think I brought this up last week, but I meant to. Both Ramborgs we've seen so far have a They're metal, they're robots, but they have like what would be the imitation of a scar over their left eye. And I was kind of like, does Kabaton have a scar over his left eye? Because that'd be really cool if like Kabaton had a scar on his left eye, and the next person who showed up maybe had like a peg leg or something. Maybe the Ramborg would always have the same like appearance.
Yeah, because the Ramborgs also have his mohawk.
Yeah, see, right, exactly. But he doesn't have a scar, but he does have like eyeliner makeup something that kind of makes like these like kind of maybe tribal markings around his eyes. So my guess is that when we get the reveal of the big bad, he will have a scar over his left eye, and I think all Ramborgs will also have that scar to mirror that. I think we're getting a hint as to what he'll look like.
Absolutely. Also, poor Kabaton. He was kind of intimidating in the first episode, and this episode he was just like, oh heck, oh shit.
Oh no.
Oh beans.
Oh no. I love Kabaton as like this silly, ridiculous, like not really a threat kind of a guy. It'd be interesting, you remember how the minor trio eventually got like different forms because like there was so much evil energy? I'm wondering if eventually Kabaton will get pumped full of Ego G and turn into like a more vicious, more like primal, I guess is the word, but like less maybe sentient, just like a beast form. I think that would be kind of interesting.
Absolutely. I would love to see that. He'll get big tusks in his beast form.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So another thing that I want to point out is Sora's punch is incredible. The Soaring Sky punch. She jumps in the air and there's clouds and they get like sonic boomed away. They get blown away by like the force of her movement, I guess. And that just, it really adds to the power of the attack. I mentioned this in the Discord, but if Kabaton had to fight the PreCure as some previous generals had, and he had to tank the Soaring Sky punch, he'd be in the hospital. He'd be dead. Series over. Elle would be safe.
Kabaton, dead. And that's the explodey sound, right?
Yeah. The explodey sound of unknown origin. No one's ever been able to determine where that soundbite came from. Last thing that I want to talk about. So I know that people who listen to this are probably into PreCure. They might not be into other genre of anime. They might not be into, like, say, shonen. Shonen is my jam. I was raised on Toonami. But My Hero Academia has an incredible scene. My Hero Academia has a lot of incredible scenes, but it's this character's final fight. Like, they know that after this, they're probably either going to be dead or they're going to retire, basically. And I don't want to spoil it, but it's going to be kind of obvious if you even watch like the first episode. You're like, oh, I think I know what Joel is describing. But basically, he does a sneaky thing in order to trick his opponent, and then he does a really big punch with his left fist into the bad guy. And the bad guy goes, that didn't hurt at all. And this character, he goes, yeah, that's because I didn't put my back into it. And he does the biggest punch with his other hand, and it's so cool. The camera zooms out and you see like the shockwave, and like the guy basically almost dies from the force of it. And the music that plays, it's a really good scene. And the only reason I bring that up is because with the Hero Notebook, with the character who wants to be a hero, who's inspired by another hero, I am now convinced that we will have several My Hero moments in Soaring Sky. And I'm not saying that My Hero invented these moments. I'm just saying that I've watched My Hero and I've rewatched certain scenes endlessly to the point where I can quote them in time to the music or whatever. And I just think that we're going to have a moment where Sora is going to punch Mega Kabaton, and he's gonna be like, that didn't hurt at all. And she'd be like, that's because I didn't put my back in it. And then she just is gonna explode him.
Absolutely. It's gonna be so good. Did you have anything else you wanted to say before we move on to
Calls to Adventure?
Calls to Adventure.
I think that's everything. That was all of the notes that I wrote down. I was worried because I was like, oh no, I didn't read the discussion question part of our notepad, but it was just, what's the grandma's relation to everything?
Let's deal with grandma. We love a grandma PreCure.
Yes.
I would totally embrace if that were the case. We have a call to adventure from a couple of episodes ago that I wanted to comment on. On episode 42 of season 2 of Cure of the What No, which you titled Satisfying Vor Me Darkness Daddy. RafaCat7 commented, "There's vor in this PreCure. I can't!" To which you responded, "Sometimes you have to go inside a giant evil creature made of pure darkness to save the mortal man trapped within its blackened heart. And sometimes the easiest way to get inside is through the mouth." It's very wise of you.
Absolutely. Look, there's only one other option I can think of, and it is not meant for kids' TV.
No! We're moving on!
From Futurama, Professor, I don't think that I can eat that pill. Good news, it's a suppository.
No butthole on the PreCure podcast!
We got Magical Girl AU writing in. As always, thank you, AU, so much. But basically, so gay, the episode of Soaring Sky. Good for them.
Absolutely. And then she also shared that the Night Declaration was in the manga, so people were excited about that before the show even aired.
Absolutely. I did kind of, because AU alluded to knowing something about Yo-Yo as a character, and that wasn't in the show, and I was like, oh, that's very interesting, and I wondered, is it because of the comic? Like, is the comic just the manga version of the anime? And apparently it's supplemental material, but it does appear that it uses certain elements to kind of get you interested in the show, so that's very interesting. I'm pretty sure that in America, the only way to obtain the manga is to sail the high seas, but if I can find a reliable way of getting it, and maybe I can confirm with AU, like, hey, does this translation match up with the Japanese? And if she gives the seal of approval, like, yeah, this is the same, then maybe I'll bring that up on occasional episodes of the podcast.
Absolutely.
However, I still think that you should try to legally support PreCure however you can. If you're in America, watch the anime. And then maybe, if you're hungry for more, you can go looking for something else.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, this next episode of Soaring Sky is called Hick Hick Homesick, Don't Cry, L-Chan. So, how do you think they get her to not be sad about being homesick?
Maybe they sing to her?
Singing might be good. PreCure really likes singing. I was thinking maybe they, is she staying in the same room as, like, Sora? Like, does she have her crib next to Sora? Is her crib, like, with, Grandma?
No, it's in the same room as Sora.
Okay. So, my guess, like, a really simple thing is they'll paint the ceiling of the room, like, clouds and sky colored.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Sun on. And I think that would help the baby cheer up.
Maybe the episode also will be about, like, Sora's so focused on L, but she's also really homesick and sad, and so, like, there'll be an emotional climax where Mashiro's like, it's okay to cry, Sora, and she gives her a hug.
I like that a lot. Something that we should have talked about earlier in the episode, I forgot to write it down, but is Kabaton also stuck in the human world, do you think? We didn't really see him go back to the void where he came from. He can still do his, like, I don't remember exactly the wording, but something like Kabaton, and that's how he, like, escapes. But there's no indication that he's escaping to another world. He might just be pulling a Batman, and he's around the corner over there or something like that.
Could be. Oh, one last thing I wanted to shout out.
Do you think Kabaton's stuck in the human world?
Oh, yes, I think he's stuck.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. They'll have to work together on episode 12, and then they'll go back to the Darkness Realm, and he'll be like, oh, that's my evil big sister, and they'll just be like a iguana lady who's just like, I'm gonna get ya. I'm gonna get ya. My eyes are looking in different directions. That's more of a chameleon thing, but still, same thing.
I love that. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get distracted. Kabaton. The Ivanhoe on Twitter pointed out that Sora says, my name is Sora, in their first battle, and he goes, I'm gonna remember that so I can carve that on your grave. And the Ivanhoe is like, that's actually very nice of him. And, like, it is very nice of him to remember her name. But you know who doesn't remember his name? Sora and Mashiro.
Yeah, they're like, is it Zabaroon or something like that? And they explain to him, he goes, it's Kabaton, I already said this, brah!
Yeah, so he has better manners than the PreCure.
Another great shonen recommendation is Bleach. If you don't mind the fact that the story just keeps repeating itself.
You just stop after they defeat the first bad, right?
Well, no, so the fight that I'm describing actually... Oh, wait, no. Yeah, okay, it comes... I was thinking of a different battle. But there's two characters fighting, and they come from different societies, and one of them says, my name is Jeff Ingram, or whatever the case may be, and the other guy goes, in our culture, we don't ask our opponents for our names, because we're going to kill them, and they're going to cease to exist. super metal, right? At the end of the fight, when the good guy wins, spoiler alert for a shonen anime, but when the good guy wins, as the bad guy is like falling to his knee because they did that like samurai thing or whatever, he goes, "I'm so glad that he told me his name," and then he flops over, and it's like, that's pretty cool. I like that.
That touches my heart.
And that has been your
Doot, final thought. Outro goes here. Thanks for listening, everyone, and don't forget to go watch Bleach and My Hero, I guess.
Bye. You're right. That wasn't my Bankai. This is my Bankai. Or no, that's not the quote. No, I'm it up. I'm a miserable failure.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to podcast time here at Cure of the What Now. Please remember to take a moment to rate and review us wherever you get your podcast from. If you want to chat more, you can find me at Pirate Ghost Host on Twitter.
And you can find me at KOTWN_pod. The link to our Discord is in my bio. You can join us for streams, games, and weekly discussions. Bye.
Stay heroic.